Hello everyone. Today is not Sunday, but I do have a device and I'm gonna review it because, well, the Amazon truck showed up today and I finally got what I've always wanted, what I've pre-ordered, and it's finally here and we are gonna take a look at it. But before I do, let's give a quick recap of what Sega has brought us in the year 2019. Yep, the Sega Genesis Mini. It's a small, chibi-sized Sega Genesis or Mega Drive with non-functional headphone volume thing, good switch, reset button. The cartridge flaps flap, and this thing comes out if I can get it out. Yep, and that's for something called the Tower of Power, which is a thing, an accessorized kit to, you know, quote unquote, accessorize your Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. I can't get this back on. Wow, what a good start, but you get the idea. And, oh yeah, it has HDMI and micro SD, which is a good thing. And that's the good thing. And now I got it back on. So, yep, just to show you what we got. A nice mini console with 42 games, some good ones, and yep, fun times had by all. So yeah, I just wanted to show you what Sega has given us. But today, or should I say, you know, this past Halloween, and I just gotten it today, something that I pre-ordered months ago. And why am I saying something? You've read the title of this video, otherwise, yep. So anyway, without further delay, without further ado, let's take a look at Sega Genesis Mini 2, which is nice. Been looking forward to this, and it's yep. And as soon as it came to the house, I'm not gonna wait till Sunday to do this. So here we are doing it now. So what do we have? Well, it says Sega Genesis Mini 2 here with the nice Sega logo. What do we got? Brilliant 16-bit graphics. Graphique 16-bit. Oh, that's in French. Extensive library of games. Built-in digital sound and stereo music synthesizer. That's a good thing, as apparently. And yep, Genesis 16-bit video entertainment system. Yep, it is just like I remembered years ago and all that stuff. So apparently that's what it looks like. That's what the controller really looks like. Rated T for teen by the ESRB. And of course, I don't know how well you can see it. Come on, autofocus. Well, you can barely make it out. It's the official Sega seal of quality. Oh man, remember those back in the day? Those were good times. This package includes Sega Genesis Mini 2 console. I'd be worried if it didn't. One wired control pad. Well, that's a bit of a worry. You get one, but it's okay by me because I have other controllers in this, so I'm not worried about this. USB power adapter, power cable, and HDMI cable. That's a good thing because past mini consoles didn't give us the power adapter or the quote-unquote power brick, which you know by now is a brick that gives out power. Ce pack includes, oh, it's in French and also in Espanol. That's good to know. And yep, just looking at this box alone, I do remember back in the day when my parents bought me a Sega Genesis, particularly Model 2, and all this stuff here, minus the things on the bottom, to my recollection, had all that. And I think I also had a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So yeah, that's how far back I remember. So there's that. So there's this. Oh, on the top it says Sega Genesis 16-bit video entertainment system. That's good. Same thing on this side. On this side, you got copyright notices for all the games, which are included. And oh, got all the cautionary warnings and all that stuff. Big HDMI logo. Warning, choking hazard. Small parts not for children under 3 years. Packaging must be retained since it contains important information. If you have history or epilepsy or seizures, consult a doctor before use. Good thing I did that. he said. Certain patterns may trigger seizures with no prior history. Just like playing audio surf. Before using this product, carefully read the online instruction manual. Yes, read the web manual and review the safety warnings before use. There's the website, and there's the QR code. If you have a smartphone or tablet, just scan that and read the PDF that's on there. There's Sega, Sega of America, all that stuff. Made in China. Didn't I expect anything less. Model number MK16310. Okay, that's good to know. And finally, we saved the best for last. What's on the back? All the games that are on here. Some Sega CD titles, as well as some Sega Genesis titles. That's good to know. Sega Genesis 7 bonus. Well, I don't know how well you can read that. Let's see. Come on, autofocus. I'll just read it to you. 7 bonus original titles and all that. That's good to know. I don't know how well the autofocus will, but there's all the games included. Got plenty of Sega Genesis titles, as well as some Sega CD titles, and introducing the bonus titles that are listed in orange. So there's that. Yep, and yes, includes the following 60 classic and bonus titles. Well, I'll save that for the almost at the end of the video and see what I think about it. Yep, there is Sega. That seal of quality. The release dates, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's good enough. Well, I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and open her up and relive those early mid-90s memories as I remembered it from back in the day. And my deepest apologies to headphone users if you hear noise and all that stuff. Oh, stuff coming out already. That's good to know. All right. Okay. Now, normally I would do it boxes. I just throw them to a side. But considering it's a Sega product, we are just going to put that to one side. There we go. So, what do we get? Where did we begin? Well, let's start off with the power cable. Yes, it's a power cable. It's micro USB on one end, and no, I thought so, but and regular USB on the other, and it's branded Sega, so that is good to know. Then I still have the same micro USB cable that came with the first Genesis Mini, so that's a good start. And also get the power adapter, if I could free it. And let's just rip and tear, as they say. Yeah, just your standard power adapter. How many amps does it have? 2 amps. So, yep, 2 amps will power this thing, and apparently 2 amps will also charge your phone. So that's also good to know. Put the trash on one side, and of course, the HDMI cable. If I could rip it out. There we go. Is it Sega on one brand? No. And that's a good thing because it says HDMI. And I say that's a good thing because those who remember the Sega Genesis, the Neo Geo, what was it? The Neo Geo Mini? Yeah, the Neo Geo Mini had a HDMI cable that was branded, and it costed a lot more than your standard HDMI cable. I'm not sure what I'm talking about this, so let's just set that to one side. Anyway, so let's move on to the controller. Oh, yeah, there's a cord. Here we go. There's a controller. Free the cable. Oh, twisty tie thing. Gotta sort that out, don't I? Well, I gotta do it on camera because, yeah. Y'all here for the enjoyment, right? So there is that. So, and it's also twisty tied again. Well, I'll take care of that later. So, yep. A Sega Genesis 6-button controller. And, yep. Let's see, quality-wise, well, D-pad is, I would say it's pretty good. I mean, much like I remembered. Start button, same thing. The buttons are also of quality. Got some, I wouldn't say click, but you could feel the button presses and all that stuff. Same goes with the D-pad as well as the start. And of course the mode button. So there's that. Now I did mention, or the box mentioned, there we go. Well, the box mentions that you only get one. And that's a bit sad because the first Genesis Mini gave you 2 3-button controllers. Unless you get the Japanese one, you get 2 6-button controllers and such. And just getting one, you're only getting one, that's a bit sad. But it's okay for me because I have, you know, these, it's all tangled up with wires. These retro power controllers that are pretty much identical to this, so I'm not worried about that. And I also have another Genesis controller with more buttons and the like. But this one's made by, who made this one? Was it Retrobit? Yes, this one's made by Retrobit and a Sega licensed product. So I'm not worried of having just one, you know, 6-button controller from Sega. So I have options, just like most people have options. So there is that. And yeah, so we'll just put that to one side. And now for the moment of truth, the device itself. Wow, here we go. It just looks, it's like it's a chibi sized Genesis Model 2, and just like I remembered, you got the ripples here, says Genesis here, cartridge input here. Does this flap? Yes, it's a good thing it flaps, and that's because, well, like I said, Sega released the Tower of Power thing to accessorize your Genesis or Mega Drive. Of course, you could put your 32X, Sonic and Knuckles, or Sonic the Hedgehog, and whatnot. And of course, the flap here also. Well, this thing, yeah, you could do that. So you could put in your Model 2 Genesis, or Model 2 Genesis. This is a Model 2 Genesis. What I meant to say was a Model 2 Sega CD or Mega CD in Japanese case. So there's that, and of course, you have the aesthetics, you know, for that metal backing plate that goes with it. Of course, there's the Sega logo, there's the reset button, and you got a switch. I'll get to that in a bit. And of course, the USB ports for the controllers. So yeah, so we have the switch. If I remember right, we got the button to turn it on. I know for a fact that Japanese Mega Drives had the switch. So why we get the switch, I don't know. And I'm assuming European Mega Drives also had the button, but who knows. I guess what's left to is a full-size comparison. I'll get it out. Compare sizes night and day with the Model 2 Genesis. So here we go. Yes, we got the US Genesis's got the button, whereas here got the switch. And one thing I've also noticed, I don't know how well you can see here, got the lights for the LEDs. This has none. So yeah, you can tell this is on and it's off. So there's that. But yeah, full-size comparison, I would say 2, 3, 4 times smaller than the Model 2. And yep, not much to say in that regard. So yep, it'll look good on a shelf if we were to put this on a shelf and whatnot. Put this on one side, and oh, almost forgot in the back. Of course, it's HDMI and micro USB. So yeah, all I could say is, you know, just having these two alone, excuse me, with the exception of the A500 Mini, you can use other mini consoles. So therefore, you don't have to unplug an HDMI cable, or, you know, unplug a micro SD. Micro SD. What am I talking about here? Unplug a micro USB power brick, or use power adapters and whatnot. Yeah, so you can interchange, so that's a good thing. So, but yeah. Now for the moment of truth. It's time to hook this thing up to the capture card, get some footage of it, and provide some commentary on it. And yeah, away we go. So enjoy this footage. Alright, so here is what the menu looks like. Not as impressive as the first one, but hey, I mean, it's there. So here's the 60 games presented to you. So there's that. Music done by Yuzo Koshiro of Streets of Rage fame, so there's also that as well. Never ceases to disappoint, but that's all worth the while. And software done by M2.
Here you could sort the games either alphabetically by genre, number of players, release date and such. You know, something to be organized and all that stuff. So that's there. If you go into settings, got plenty of settings to look at. Got the manual, which you have to go to that website or scan the QR code, because I'm assuming ROMs are smaller than PDFs. Go into languages. Yeah, I'll stick to the one I speak, thank you. Go into game settings. Here you can look at the screen settings to either 4:3 or 16:9, but you know, stretching retro games looks a bit stupid, so I'll stick to 4:3. And there's also CRT filter, which adds guidelines, so yeah, no thank you. Go into wallpaper settings. Here you have plenty of wallpapers to choose from. Some look better than others, but hey, it's there, you know, to fill in the black borders, you know. But you know, it's all there. But yeah, there's also not much to say in that regard. Sound settings. Yep, choose either one. And mode button setting lets you either go to the menu or, you know, set it up to the way how you like it and such. So there's that. There's also staff credits to see who made it, obviously M2 and Sega and some other people, and legal notices, you know, just to have there, and reset it to factory settings, so there's also that. Yeah, all I could say is it looks impressive, much like the first one. So there's all that and all that, but you do get a nice picture when you turn the system off. Now, as far as the games is concerned, I mean, they are spot on. I mean, considering, you know, the software done by M2, they never cease to disappoint. So all I could say is they look the part, play the part, sound the part, etc. So good job on M2, and I give them praise on that, and I take my hat off to you guys. Now, as far as Sega CD is concerned, well, as far as loading times, they're pretty much the same as their actual hardware. Just, you know, without the worrying if your CDs is scratched and whatnot. And you still hear Redbook audio as if you're playing it on real hardware, so there's that. Yeah, much like Genesis emulation is concerned, Sega CD, same thing. Looks the part, plays the part, sound the part. Yeah, that's all there is to it, and that goes for games with Redbook audio and such. Well, you know what I mean. I mean, it's very nice what hardware they put into it for Sega CD emulation and all that stuff. So there is that. So, from here, to get to the menu, you get your ass up and press the reset button on the thing. Alternatively, press the hold button, mode button on the controller. And yeah, so from there you could save, load, reset, go back to main menu and such, much like the first one. Although there is no rewind feature, but who needs a rewind feature, right? Right? Oh well, moving on. Very nice, interesting feature though is if you change the language to English to Japanese, you get a very nice looking Japanese Mega Drive aesthetic, complete with box art and such. Although, you know, for some games it doesn't apply, but you know, it's there. Interestingly enough, if you also change it to Italian or German, you get the European Mega Drive, so along with box art. Yeah, kind of sad it doesn't apply to if you select the language to French or Spanish, but oh well. I mean, that's what you get, right? Right? Oh well. That's that. So here's the part where I'm going to shut up for a while and let you look at some gameplay footage of some select games and such. And my apologies for the out of sync issues with the sound that has something to do with the capture card. So other than that, enjoy.
Get ready.
So yeah, that's the entire library of the Sega Genesis 2 Mini, and I have played all 60 games, and I could say for certain a good chunk of these games should have been on the first Genesis Mini, but it's neither here or there. So let me quickly describe the games that I've played. Yes, I have played all 60 of them because, of course, I'm RedHotMaki. I play games and I do all that stuff. So anyway, here are the games that I'll be describing as quickly as I can. So yeah, Afterburner 2, it's a it's an arcade classic. What needless to say, it's you pilot a spacecraft? No, you don't pilot a space. Messing up already. You pilot an F-14 Tomcat, I believe, and you shoot down other planes and jets and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a good arcade classic. It's worth giving a shot. Alien Soldier. You're a soldier who looks like an alien. Nope. It's how can I best describe it? It's a time attack platforming game developed by Treasure, these same folks who did Ikaruga and Gunstar Heroes. Yep, that's good stuff right there. Atomic Runner is Chelnov. That's a Data East classic. That's a good game. Bonanza Brothers is, how can I say it? Not so much Lego-esque characters who pick up money bags, and when they do, they say, "Whoa ho ho!" or something like that. I don't even know. Well, I do know because I've played it, and it's an okay game. Clay Fighter. It's a fighting game with claymations and all that stuff. It's a good fighting game, but unfortunately, the music is not as good as the Super Nintendo version, so that's all I could say. Crusader of Senti could be best described as a Legend of Zelda-esque game to much avail. It's pretty good. I mean, it's worth picking up, I suppose, if you're able to find it and all that stuff. Desert Strike: Return of the Gulf, good EA classic, first in the Strike series. I played it, I liked it, but not as much as Urban Strike and Soviet Strike. So there's that. It's a good game, needless to say. Earthworm Jim 2, well, we did get the first Earthworm Jim somewhere, I believe. And yep, yeah, you play as the Earthworm Jim saving Princess, what's her name, and all that stuff. I like the first one better, to be honest. Elemental Master, it's a hard as ball shmup, but with its difficulty comes a great replay value, and it's a good Technosoft game. Not sure why it's not on the first one, but yeah, the cartridge itself, it's hard to find, believe it or not. Or if you could find it, it's very expensive. That's all I could say on that. Fatal Fury 2, where's Fatal Fury 1? It's a good fighting game, a good SNK fighting game. But my favorite, of course, from SNK fighter game would be a Samurai Showdown, which is not on here, unfortunately. So there's that. Gain Ground, yes, You Gain Ground is a good Sega classic. Is you play one of the characters, you have to rescue other characters and defend or defeat other characters and all that stuff. Not sure what's regarded a classic, but to me, it's one of those time-wasting games, but it's worth playing anyway. Golden Axe 2, well, we got the first one, so it's good to have the second one. I'm not sure why the third one's not on here. Oh, well, what could I say? I mean, well, yeah, Golden Axe 2, it's one of those games that's, yeah, one of those beat-em-ups. But yeah, that's much I could describe about that. Granada, how could I describe it? You control a small tank, and it's yeah, you control a small tank, shoot down other stuff, and it's okay. And neat fun fact here is this game was developed by game creative Staff Wolf Team. You might know them as Namco Tales Studios, who are known for the Tales of series. I guess the latest one is Berserka. I don't even know. It's been a while since I've followed the Tales series, but yeah, Grenada, good game, needless to say. Hellfire, a good shmup. Yeah, a Toll Plan shmup rather. Yeah, Hellfire's good, but unfortunately not as good as Zero Wing. Unfortunately, Zero Wing's not on here because not for the memes, but you know, for the shmup itself, it's a okay game, needless to say. Herzog Zwei, pretty much it's an RTS game, and pretty much one of the how can I best describe Herzog Zwei? It's pretty much painted the map for the RTS genre. You know, games like Supreme Commander and Dune and all those other RTS games. It's worth checking out, and also worth checking out is the Sega Ages version on the Switch of Herzog Zwei. It's pretty good. Wish I had a copy of it, but eventually I'll get a copy sooner or later. Lightning Force 4, or excuse me, Thunder Force 4, one of my best, my favorites in the Thunder Force series. I'm not sure why it's not on the first Genesis Mini, but hey, well, they could have added a second one, but then again, it's pretty good. There's two modes for some reason, original mode and ultra speed mode. I'm not sure why there's two modes in it, but it's still the same game. It's definitely worth picking up if you could find a copy of it, you know, for a reasonable price, and definitely a good shmup overall. Midnight Resistance, how can I best describe? It's Contra without the, you know, without the defeating the aliens or something like that. It's I haven't even beat it, to be honest with you, but it's a good run and gun platforming game, a good Data East game. I like the soundtrack though. That's a good thing. Outrun, good Sega classic. For some reason, you don't hear the engine because you only hear the music. Well, you do hear some sound effects, you know, from the other cars and skidding and all that stuff. So if you can find it, it's worth getting. Outrunners. Outrunners is no good. Outrun is good. Outrunners not so much, especially on the Genesis. Yeah, the Genesis version, because you have that permanent split screen thing, much like Super Mario Kart. It's well, if you could, you know, if you see this in the arcade, it's worth playing. So there's that. Fantasy Star 2, good Sega RPG. It's a good. It's very very good. Not sure why the. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure why the rest of the Fantasy Star RP games are not on here, other than the second one. But then again, good RPG and all that stuff. For some reason, I kind of, the thing with Fantasy Star is, turn-based RPG now turned MMO. It's the best I could describe it. So there's that. But yeah, so that's Fantasy Star 2 for you, as best told by me, for a lack of a better paragraph and such. Populous, I can never get into Populous for some reason. Those God Simulator type games, I can never find the appeal of Populous, and I mean, it's there if you're interested. So there's that. Rainbow Islands Extra. It's an extra version of Rainbow Islands. It's one of those games that never got released outside of Japan. It's a good game by Taito. It'd be the second story of Bubble Bobble, because you got Bubble Bobble, Rainbow Islands, and then the third one, Parasol Stars. It's pretty good. Ranger X, you control a ranger whose name is X, I think. No, not really. You control one of those mechs with the ride-along things, and you shoot down enemies. Good platformer, very interesting music from Noriyuki Iwadare. It's best I can describe it. And good game overall. I mean, I like it. It's worth picking up if you can find it. Rise Star, a Sonic team game. For some reason, I could never get into it. I mean, it looks good. I mean, graphics wise, I mean, it's very very good. But for some reason, I just couldn't get into it. It's one of those games. If you're in the mood, then go ahead and play it and all that stuff. Rolling Thunder 2, good Namco game. Not for some reason the third one's not on here. I don't know why, but the second one is pretty good. If you played the arcade version, even better. And just waiting for the day where somebody makes a ROM hack of Rolling Thunder 2, replacing their characters with Lloyd and Yor from Spy X Family. That would be a nice ROM hack for Rolling Thunder 2. It'd be really nice. But yeah, Rolling Thunder 2, in its form, it's pretty good. I mean, yeah, very very good. Shadow Dancer, The Secret of Shinobi, a good Shinobi game if you're getting into it. Difference between Shinobi and Shadow Dancer is, of course, I say Shinobi. The difference between the Genesis version of Shadow Dancer as opposed to the arcade/Master System version, it's a totally different game, much like eSWAT, as best I could describe it. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, you have a dog that helps you out, and that's pretty good. But yeah, it's a good game. I mean, Shadow Dancer is a good game. It's worth picking up or giving it a try if you're into it. Shining Force 2, a good game, good in the series. I mean, I like Shining Force 2 even better than the first one for some reason. And if you've never played Shining Force, how can I best describe it? Sega's answer to Fire Emblem is the best I could describe it. But yeah, it's worth playing, and I don't even know if the Shining Force series is still going. I mean, the last one I played was what was it? Shining Tears, I believe. On I forgot what console was it. Was it PS2? I think something like that. Somebody correct me in the comments on that one. But yeah, Shining Force 2. If you're into it, it's good. Shining in the Darkness is also good. One of those dungeon crawler games. Well, first it started as a dungeon crawler, then eventually becoming Fire Emblem-esque type genre. It's the best I could describe it. And for some reason, the Japanese version of it is known as Shining and the Darkness, as opposed to Shining in the Darkness for some reason. But yeah, it's a good game that it started the series off. But if you're into it, go for it. It's worth giving it a shot. Sonic 3D Blast. Well, you gotta have a Sonic game in there somewhere, right? Yeah, Sonic 3D Blast is one of those. It's a nice isometric Sonic game made by Traveler's Tales. It's released in '96 alongside the Saturn version. But I mean, if you're into it, then yeah, you're good. I mean, Sonic's good, but 3D Blast, well. Like I said, if you could get into it, it's pretty good and all that stuff. And unfortunately, it is the vanilla Sonic 3D Blast as opposed to the director's cut version where, what's his name, John Burton of Traveler's Tales has made, with all the extra stuff and whatnot. That would be nice to have on here, director's cut. It'd be really nice to see what people have missing out. But, those peers, we gotta have vanilla Sonic 3D Blast because, oh well. But I guess you could say it's much more than a blast. Okay, that was dumb, so I'm not doing that again. Anyway, moving on. Splatterhouse 2 is one of those games you could play on Halloween or, if you're into it, best described. Splatterhouse 2 is you control this. You play as this character who's barefooted and has a hockey mask and just beating the crap out of alien creatures and all that stuff. It's all spoopy and everything, but yeah, it's pretty good. Not so much I could say is the third one, but for some reason the third one was not on here. But oh well. Splatterhouse, if you could get into it, it's pretty good, and a lot better than the the modern version that was released on, what was it, 360 PS3, something like that. Yeah, pretty much 2D Splatterhouse is pretty good. Streets of Rage 3, that's all I could say. It's just I don't know why Streets of Rage is just they've given us the first and second one, so at least it's a good reason to have the third one on here, so there's one explanation of that. But it's good, if you could get into it, but the second one is far beyond better than the third one, I could say that, from experience. But the first one's good, second one's best, third one is just yeah, but if you're looking to, complete your Streets of Rage trilogy, just remember the third one is just, Anyway, moving on from the size, just, yeah. Super Hang-On, a good arcade classic where you are on a motorcycle and you have turbo and such. Arcade and original is pretty good of Super Hang-On. I remember this having it for... what was it, for my birthday some time ago? I don't remember. It's very, very, very long time. But yeah, Super Hang-On, I always liked it more than I have with the Super Monaco GP. Not because of the password system, which is very cryptic, but but the original mode is it's much more fun. And arcade version, the arcade mode is it's fun, remembered by all and all that stuff. So we got more games on top. Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers. Well, got to give us a second Street Fighter game in the series. Well, I say second one, but the second released on the Sega Genesis, because we got Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition on the first Genesis Mini, and we got Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers on this one. It's good overall. For some reason, people don't like it because, well, the colors, it's not that hot. The music it sounds terrible, but there's that to complain. But overall, it's Super Street Fighter 2 at the end of the day, so can't complain on that. So there's that. The ooze. My memories of the ooze has just really ooh. I'd rather be playing Comic Zone than I would the ooze. And best I could describe the ooze is you control a blob of ooze, collecting more ooze, and it's for some reason I really did not enjoy the ooze as much as I did Comic Zone. But yeah, if you're in the mood to play the ooze, then it's up to you. So there's that. The Revenge of Shinobi, a very good Shinobi game. Overall, I like it. It's pretty good. A good Shinobi game. Can't go wrong with that. It's pretty good. So, yeah. What you know about Toe Jam and Earl in Panic on Funkotron? Well, it's on the Genesis 2. The first one's on the first mini, obviously. I played it, and for some reason, I did not enjoy it as much as I did the first one. So, there's that. So, yeah. It's there on there if you're into it. Truxton, oh man, Truxton. Good memories of Truxton, or Tatsujin as known as in Japan. A very good toa plant shmup. Well, who is this guy? Classic Game Room. I mean, always loved Truxton. Yeah, Truxton's pretty good. I mean, yes, it's a good shmup by Toaplan. If you can find a copy, it's worth adding it to your collection. And yes, cannot go wrong with Truxton. Vector Man 2, it's good. It's good. It's on here because the first one's on the first mini, so there's that. I don't know. I mean, I really didn't like his Vector Man 2 as much as I did the first one, but I mean, I got some enjoyment out of it, but I'd rather be playing the first one instead, personal preference and all that stuff. Viewpoint, how can I best describe it? It's Zaxxon without the, well, it's a nice isometric shmup. That's all I could say. It's almost like Zaxxon, but, the music it's there if you could get into it. So there's that on that front. So, yeah. I mean, if you like Viewpoint, then, it's up to you. Virtua Racing. I mean, I don't remember it being on the first one. I doubt it'd be, but, I mean, it's on here, so it's, can't go wrong with some Virtua Racing. I mean, the one and only game with the Sega Virtual Chip, so there's that. And if you can get into it, it's pretty good. But yeah, overall, good racing game, and all that stuff. War Song is a song about war. What is it good for? Absolutely. Well, you know the rest. War Song, it's one of those. It's one of those games that how can I describe? It's a good strategy game or something like that. But yeah, War Song is pretty much a localization of a series known as Langreiser, as best I could describe it. So there's that. So yeah, moving on to the introducing, it has these bonus games. Introducing Deviant P. It's a bit of a weird one, Deviant P. It's almost like a Arkanoid-ish game where you have to free a certain someone in a square or cube or whatever. It's very confusing. I couldn't get into it, and that's such. But I mean, it wasn't released as stated on the that little text before you start the game and all that stuff. So yeah, I could see why this game never got released. So there's that. But I mean, if you could get into it, it's yeah, Deviant P. How can I describe? I've already described it already, but I mean, it's worth checking out. I mean, for new games and such. So there's that. Fantasy Zone. Oh, great. Fantasy Zone. I feel like it's been done before, on the PC Engine TurboGrafx 16 Mini, but, I mean, it's great. It's on here again, but, yep, Fantasy Zone. I mean, good, shmup or cute 'em up, however you want to describe it. I mean, runs on Sega hardware, so there's that. I mean, it would be nice if, to see Fantasy Zone 2, the Tears of Opa Opa, the System 16 version. It'd be nice on here, but yeah, I'd like to see that. But I mean, Fantasy Zone, if you could get into it, it's pretty good. Oh, no, almost knocked the camera. Oh, come on now. So yeah, Fantasy Zone, can't go wrong. It's pretty good. Spatter, how can I describe Spatter? Yeah, you're on a bicycle, and you ride the bicycle, picking up stuff and all that stuff. Almost like a Rally X type game, but yeah, Spatter, you're on the bicycle pretty much. And yeah, and you collect stuff every two stages. There's a bonus game that you collect. It's one of those games I have played it before, through MAME, the original version, but it's good to see it that's on here. Classic System, what was it? I forget it. Sega System 1/2, something like that. Being run on Sega Genesis hardware or Mega Drive hardware in this case. But, good classic game if you could get into it. It's pretty good. Space Harrier 2, well, now here's a bit of confusion with Space Harrier 2. I mean, Space Harrier 2 originally was released on the first one, so you probably think why Space Harrier 2 is on here. Well, if you've seen the footage, then imagine Space Harrier 2 that's running on with Super Scalar hardware and the FM chips synth YM2203 pretty much. If that was on the Genesis, so yeah, Space Harrier 2, a very, very good recreation of Space Harrier 2 with scaling sprites and all that good stuff. I mean, really, really impressive recreation of Space Harrier 2. In addition, you get Space Harrier 1, so there's that. So that's pretty good. I mean, and the guys who did this version of Space Harrier 2, very much kudos. I mean, yeah, very much kudos. It's definitely worth playing. Star Mobile, it's a mobile with stars. Well, it's how can I best describe this Star Mobile? It's one of those puzzle games that for some reason I can't get into. I mean, it's a very complicated puzzle game. At least for me, it's I mean, if you could get into it, it's pretty good. And to my understanding, it was released on the X68000 and PC Engine CD, I believe. And I mean, if you could get into those complicated puzzle games, you know, more power to you. But I couldn't. I mean, I tried, but so there's that. So yeah, Super Locomotive. It's a locomotive that's super. Well, no, how could it just okay. Super Locomotive is one of those arcade games where, you know, people who like trains and stuff. So yeah, a good classic Sega game, you know, this Super Locomotive. And I guess what stands out with the Super Locomotive is the original, well, the arcade version rather, had this song called Riding from Yellow Magic Orchestra, or YMO. This version, however, is called Rising by OMY, I believe, pretty much backwards or something like that. Basically, I guess they couldn't get the rights to use one of Yellow Magic Orchestra's songs to put it in this version of Super Locomotive. So they had to make an original one, so there's that. Oh well. And the final bonus game is Versus Puyo Puyo Sun. Now this is a very nice 16-bit version of Puyo Puyo Sun. If you ever played Puyo Puyo Sun on the... what was it released on? I'm trying to remember. Was it PS1, N64, a Sega Saturn? I don't know, but I don't think it was ever released outside of Japan, but a very nice 16-bit rendition of that. I mean, it's really worth picking up if you can find a friend, you know, versus, hence the word versus on it. I mean, it's good fun. I mean, overall, I mean, it's even good, you know, playing it by yourself, but still, at least there's a good Puyo Puyo game in here, so there's that. And moving on to the Sega CD selection, we got Echo the Dolphin and Echo 2 The Tides of Time. I include them both because, well, it's Echo the Dolphin. What else do you want? What could I say? I mean, it's much like the Genesis version, except here it has Redbook audio and on both of them. So there's that. If you could get into Echo the Dolphin, it's there. I mean, all I could say is, you know, good soundtrack from both games. So there's that. But yeah, Echo the Dolphin and The Tides of Time. If you could get into them, you know, it's worth your time. Final Fight CD. It's Final Fight, but it's on a CD. Nice. Yeah, Final Fight CD is it's basically Final Fight, but you know, a very good arranged soundtrack, and of course those two chicks there, or those two ladies there, they're also present. I mean, and of course it has an additional mode. I think it's score attack, time attack, something like that. I don't know, but I mean, I have played it, so there's that extra mode there. And all I could say is, I mean, in my opinion, far better than the Super Nintendo version, because you have all three characters at once. You could choose one of them, so there's that. But yeah, Final Fight CD is very good. I mean, not sure why we just got one Final Fight game on Sega hardware, where Final Fight 2 and 3 was on Super Nintendo, so there's that. So that's neither here or there, so let's move on. Mansion of Hidden Souls, best described as one of those yeah, you're in a mansion and you know, one of those mystery games. You wonder why there's butterflies flying around, where humans are turned into butterflies and all that stuff. I mean, I guess it's a bit creepy, but not as creepy as floating heads found on the Sega Saturn version of Mansion of Hidden Souls, and of course in Japan known as a Yumemi Mystery Mansion, I believe. So there's that. I mean, if you could get into this sort of game, then it'd be worth your time. So there's that. Night Striker, it's a striker at night. Best described as Outrun meets Space Harrier, I believe. One of those Taito games that has a very interesting, I guess I would say, fan base or something like that. I don't know. But it is a game from Taito. It's a good game. If you're into this sort of thing. Unfortunately, this version of Night Striker on Sega CD was not released outside Japan, but but a very good soundtrack, both original and arranged. So there is also that. So yeah, Night Trap. Ooh, yeah. Let me say that again. Night Trap. Ooh. One of the first things when you think of Sega CD is, of course, you think Night Trap. It's one of those FMV games that if you could get into it, it'll be worth your time. A bit of confession here. I've never played Night Trap on Sega CD. I have on the 3DO, I believe, and and gonna be honest, it wasn't worth much of my time. I mean, all those FMV sequences and all that stuff. So there's that. But I mean, Night Trap, if you get into it, it's worth your time. Robo Alesta, hell, it's got to have a Alesta game in here somewhere. For some reason, Musha Alesta or Musha is not even on here, so we ended up getting Robo Alest. Yeah, so there's that. Killer soundtrack, in my opinion. Good vertical scrolling shmup, so there's that. I mean, it has that feudal Japan aesthetic in it, if you're into it. But yeah, Robo Alest, if you like it, it's good. It's all that. Sewer Shark, yeah, Sewer Shark is a good, well, I would say good. I mean, it's an okay FMV game, on rails FMV where you're shooting down stuff. So there's that. And at the beginning, you're called dog meat for whatever reason. How rude. But then again, yeah, Sewer Shark, it's alright. That's all I could say. Yeah, Sewer Shark's alright. Shining Force CD. It's Shining Force, but it's on CD. Nah. How can I best describe Shining Force CD? I would say be the third in the Shining Force series, because you got Shining Force 1, then, well, first Shining in the Darkness, then the first one, then the second one. And I'm guessing the third one, or the fourth one rather, falls in the Shining Force CD department. I don't know, but yeah. All I can say is very nice Redbook audio for Shining Force CD, and it's it's Fire Emblem-esque type gameplay, the best I could describe. I mean, very good. If you find a copy, it's worth picking up. Sylpheed, oh man, Sylpheed. I like Sylpheed. It's a good game. My memories of Sylpheed, other than the Sega CD version, is playing it on what was it, MS-DOS, I believe. It had to have been on MS-DOS, some time ago. I had a floppy of it somewhere, but yeah, Sylpheed is a very nice, how can I say, vertical scrolling shmup that's kind of ish on rails and bunch of speech. Very interesting soundtrack and all that stuff. Very good game by a company called Game Arts. The same folks behind other than Sylpheed, Thexter, Zeliard, and the Lunar series of RPG games, and now that I think about it, the Grandia RPG series of games. Pretty good. Sylpheed's pretty good. It's worth checking out. Sonic the Hedgehog CD. Yes, Sonic CD is on here, and the best part about Sonic CD is you have both the US and European / Japanese soundtracks. So there's that. So you could choose either version, same game either way, but the soundtrack is well, it either makes it or breaks it. So yeah, European Japanese soundtrack, has all those cool tracks, but of course the US version has the Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom, and all that. So there's that. Unfortunately, naturally, it's not the 2011 release, so there's that. But yeah, gotta have another Sonic game in here, so that makes it worthwhile. And finally, the Ninja Warriors. Yes, the Ninja Warriors, a very good Taito, a game from Taito, where you play as one of the Ninja Warriors. And for some reason, it never got released outside Japan, and you're looking at a condensed screen because the original, if I'm not mistaken, the arcade version had 3 screens. It was very wide. much like Darius 1 and 2 and one of the Rastan games, I believe. I don't know, a very good original and arranged soundtrack by the band Zuntata. Yep, I mean, I like their work in terms of music, so that's that. And of course, the Ninja Warriors is very good. Again, much like Night Striker, never got released outside Japan, and I wish it was, but now we could play it on here, so there's that. And yep, Ninja Warriors, if you could find a copy, or yeah, if you have the means of playing Japanese games on Sega, well, you know what I mean. Ninja Warriors is a good game. Play it if you're into that stuff. So, yeah, so let me go ahead and jump cut because my throat is being dry. So, give me a minute. Well, now I got some fluids in me so I could talk some more. So, there's that. Anyway, so that's all the 60 games on here. So, now I have some questions to address. And who knows, you may have the same questions. Anyway, so these questions would be, where's Blank Man? Blank Man is a character by Damon Wayans. But no, seriously, where's Batman, Superman? Where's Snatcher? Where's 32X support? Where's Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, or Sonic 3 and Knuckles? Well, and I could give these answers to the best of my ability. So if I'm wrong, please address it in the comments. As far as Batman and Superman, and now that I think about it, Aladdin, Lion King, Toy Story, and all those games that are licenses and all that stuff. Hell, even Terminator, they cost money, so that's why you don't see them on here. But so there's that. As far as I would love to see Snatcher on this, because Snatcher is one of those games made by Hideo Kojima prior to Metal Gear, and it's a very good. How can I best describe Snatcher? Like Blade Runner without the blade and runner and all that stuff, cyberpunk-ish, aesthetic. I would love to see that game on here, but it's not, so there's that. So, yeah, way to go, Konami, is best I could say. As far as 32X support, it would have been nice to have 32X support, now that you think about it. Like to see Knuckles Chaotix on here, which for some reason is not on here. The 32X versions of Afterburner 2 and Space Harrier would have been nice to be on here as well. Even Metalhead and Shadow Squadron. So, yeah, could never understand why there's no 32X support. Maybe there is, just don't even know it. But, so there's that. And of course, the final question I could address is why Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles is not on here. Could be best described by making this simple noise. Yeah, MJ, Michael Jackson, as best I could describe it. I mean, I could understand why Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles is not on here because, there's music with Michael Jackson in it, so there's that. I mean, but if it was up to me, if I was working for M2, I would have said, you know what? We could get that prototype ROM, get the music from that, and put it in Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, and that would have been squared away, so that's that. But to my assumption, those peers be like, oh no, we have to have Michael Jackson's music on it, otherwise we won't play Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles at all. So there is that. I can't believe I've managed to ramble a lot all throughout, but yeah. I mean, it's a very good piece of hardware, this Genesis 2. And yes, I can't get over how the flaps and all that. And probably down the road, I'll get accessorize it by getting the Tower of Power stuff, which unfortunately I do not have. But once I do, man, it's going to be a thing of beaut. I'll just put that through there. And talk about more on this thing is, for example, of how much this thing costed. Well, I paid $130 total when I pre-ordered it. So who knows? Maybe the price has dropped by the time I upload this video. Who knows? And where I got it from Amazon when I pre-ordered it. And who knows? Like I said, once this video gets uploaded, you'll probably find them at Walmart, Best Buy, Target, all them stores. Because, well, holiday season is around the corner. Well, just by about a month. So best to get it before and all that stuff. So yeah, and oh, another question I could also address is you probably asked this question without even posting it is much like the other mini consoles, is this thing hackable? Well, the answer is I don't know, because who knows if Hackchi is working on a version of for this thing as of me making this video. By the time I upload this video, it'd be out, or who knows. But yeah, and if it is, well, if you're into that sort of thing, you can go ahead and do so. That's all up to you. So there's that. And also, one thing I like to point out when it comes to not only this, and hang on, both of these, it's amazing how Sega managed to kill their relationship with At Games. Because, well, if you own anything from At Games, you pretty much question how shoddy their emulation is. And when Sega killed their relationship with At Games and went with M2 to make software for not only this but this, man, is it very amazing. And just, I'm not sure, I can't even understand why, or why I wouldn't even question it. But then again, I'm not sure. I don't know why Sega didn't go to M2 at the first place, when it comes to mini consoles like this. But, oh well, learn from your mistakes. So there's that. So we can just put you on one side over here and have this focus on here. So yeah, I think I've talked so much about this. So yeah, that is about it for the Sega Genesis 2 Mini. If you want one of these, I highly do recommend getting one of these, for yourself or for a friend, gift and all that stuff. Yeah, I'd say get it. Like I said, when I bought mine on Amazon, you could get it there. And if you could find it at a store, and if they're being sold in stores, I say go ahead and get it. So there is that. Now I'm going to have to clear my throat, so I'm going to wrap this video. So it was well worth the wait, and it's a good thing I did not look at other people's reviews, just so I could do one of my own and go from there. So yeah, that'll do it for me. So until then, take care, stay warm with this cold season, and yeah, get one if you want one, which is highly recommended. So there is that. So I'm off to get some fluids in me because my throat is getting dry. So I'm going to leave it at that. So there it is. Thank you so much for watching. So until then, see ya. You know what Sega should have done is get the games that are on here and put them in here. You could do it like that. And are you still here? Go away. I'm out of here. Bye.